Welcome to 10 Minute Takes. This is where we rate films first, then we discuss what we liked and didn't like about the film. Our rating system is see it, wait for it, or pass it. So, you ready to rate this?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
See it. I was surprised that I liked it so much.
So, Crazy Rich Asians. Essentially, you can boil this film down to this being a live-action version of Cinderella, just a modern-day Cinderella.
That takes place in Singapore.
It's
basically,
almost exactly what it is. I mean, that is the plot. It is the sort of, I don't want to say she's downtrodden or anything like that. She's a college professor, but she just happens to not be good enough for the sort of billionaire. I don't want to say billionaire. They could be trillionaires. This family that she's involved with.
Very rich family.
I mean, they are the 1% of the 1%ers. If you think of them like, imagine Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins when he goes swimming in the hotel pool and then he buys the hotel and says he's changing the rules. This family is that times 30.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of it like that.
So that is the family that she's involved with, but she doesn't know she's involved with someone like that. And he likes that. The guy that she's involved with, his name's Nick, and he likes that she doesn't like that. Or that she doesn't know that he comes from royalty. So they just fall in love just by knowing each other. There's no money or anything involved with any of it.
He's not royalty.
No, but I mean, they consider him like royalty.
They basically say that he is, yeah.
So, I guess we're kind of just talking about things that we like. We're already into it. But like other things that I liked about the story outside of the fact that I didn't realize I liked the Cinderella story as much as I do. I never saw Disney's live action Cinderella film that they made a couple of years ago. And they referenced, I didn't realize it while I was watching it, they referenced Cinderella probably at least 3 times in this film.
Yeah, but they do it in a funny way.
But it never hit me like, oh, this is a Cinderella story. Probably because I'm not steeped in Cinderella. I can't remember the last time I even watched it.
I told you before we went, I was like, this is just Cinderella. I honestly wasn't super excited about it. But after we saw it, after even the first 20 minutes, I was like, this is going to be good. I'm going to be into this.
I wasn't excited to see this either. Rom-coms aren't really my thing. I guess I like the more like raunchy comedies. I think the raunchiest, or I guess what you could say, like romantic comedy, one of my favorites is Wedding Crashers, if you even call Wedding Crashers a rom-com. And one of the things I liked most about this film was how well they balanced the drama with the comedy. And they never undermined the drama by trying to inject comedy into the scenes that were dramatic.
It didn't feel forced. Like a lot of movies nowadays, even the more serious ones, seem like they're trying to make sure they get some type of comedy in it. And it's so out of place that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
In this film, it really worked and it flowed very nicely and it knew what it was. It knew that it was like a Cinderella storyline, and it gets pointed out a lot. Her dress is even blue. Like, these were all things that I was like, at least it knows.
At least it knows what it is.
And which actually for me made it very much more likable. And it was very funny.
It is very funny. I actually didn't think it was... I don't think I've heard people saying that this film's like a laugh out loud riot. The thing that I've heard thrown around with this film...
a couple moments, though.
There's a few moments for a film that's 2 hours long.
Yeah, that's true. It's
very charming. It's endearing. And it is just overall a delightful film to watch. For this being a cast that is relatively new, it is really well acted. The guy that played Nick Young, the lead actor in the film, this is his first film. He's never acted before. Constance Wu, who played Rachel, is relatively new. She's really good in this. Awkwafina, she plays the best friend, Asian Ellen.
She was hilarious. That was the best moment in the whole movie, was the degree scene. You came back with a reasonable degree. My daughter came back as Asian Ellen.
That was funny. So I pretty much liked almost everything about this film. I don't want to give away too much about it 'Cause I think this is one of those ones where you can go in like being just very surprised. Mm-hmm. It's very much, it surprised me the way Girls Trip last year surprised me.
Yeah, we were talking about that at the end, and at first I didn't know what you were talking about because it was two completely different movies. But once you kind of put it into light that it was like both of us heard really good things about Girls Trip, and we went in like, okay, whatever, this will be a good time, and it ended up being really, really good. And I think that was the same thing with this one. And so many people want to see it, and I hear so many people want to see it, and a lot of people really enjoy it. And every time I've talked to someone, that's exactly what they say. They're like, I don't really want to see it, and then I told them, no, but you have to see it. It's really good.
It's really good.
But a lot of people that I know that I've talked to about this movie, it's like, I don't really care to see that movie. I'm like, no, but it's good. You need to see it.
Yeah, it's really good. All right, now I want to get into the things that we didn't like about the film. There's really only one part of the film that, it's not that I didn't like it, but I didn't feel like it needed to be there, and it adds probably a good 20 minutes to the film. And there's a subplot that has nothing to do with the actual main plot about the girl's plight with trying to fit in with this guy's family. And there's a cousin in the film, and her husband have problems, and the film devotes a pretty good amount of time to their subplot, but their subplot doesn't add anything to the main plot. It makes a statement that even people with money have problems. Just because they're rich doesn't mean that everything's perfect for them. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the meaning of that subplot. I just didn't feel like it was needed.
I think it was just there to say that it was basically Nick and Rachel's relationship in reverse.
Yeah, because it's a cousin. The cousin's female and her husband's male.
But her husband,
husband's a guy.
Grew
obviously,
up
it's a husband.
But her husband grew up. He was never rich. He was more along Rachel's line, and he couldn't wrap his mind around the fact that she was so wealthy. So like you could see that there was a struggle, and there was a little bit of like, I'm the male, I should be the wealthy one, and he couldn't wrap his mind around it. And so he does kind of like a shitty thing to her.
Yeah.
And then that's just kind of that plot line. And like you said, I didn't think it was needed, but yeah, I didn't think it was needed. If it wasn't in the movie altogether, I wouldn't have missed it. I felt like it was just in the movie to show that like,
no, it
doesn't make,
money doesn't make you happy.
Right. But it wasn't needed.
Yeah. I feel like it added 20 minutes on to a film that didn't need to have an extra 20 minutes on.
I also feel like the relationship with the mom and Rachel kind of shows into light of how stressful her title, not that she's not royalty, but like her job as a woman, like she gave up her career and her past to raise a family and do all of these things to basically be a part of this family as best as she could to get her mother-in-law's approval. And basically what she was saying to Rachel was kind of like, well, this is the same thing that's going to happen to you, and you just kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So Rachel, that's where like that relationship between Rachel and the mom, I wouldn't have even mind seeing more about Rachel and the mom kind of going head to head, because that's what I was more. Right, because in the trailer that's kind of what I thought it was going to be like. I thought it was going to be, Nick brings Rachel to Singapore and meets his family, and there's going to be more rivalry between the mom and Rachel, but that didn't really happen. There were little bits and pieces, but it wasn't the moral of the story, or it wasn't the focus, not moral, it wasn't the focus of the story.
Yeah. Rachel kind of gets crap from everybody. All the females pretty much go after Rachel when she goes into Singapore. It's not just the mom, it's the friends of the family.
Right. I'm just saying the trailer portrays it as it's like a mom and Rachel rivalry, which is kind of makes it the funny spin. But like you said, everybody's just not accepting of her.
Yeah.
But guys weren't accepting of her either. There were some men in there that were like, no.
No, that's why I was like, everybody.
Everybody
was going after her. But even with all that said, this film is still very, very good. Mm-hmm. It has a lot of style. I was actually pleasantly surprised with how much style the film had, especially in the first 20 minutes when it grabs your attention. I think my favorite scene is when Nick is outed with dating this girl. They're at like a cafe and they're sharing a piece of cake, and there's a Chinese girl sees them and like, oh, who's Nick Young with? And he's famous in like Asian culture. So she walks by him, takes a picture, and all of a sudden you see all the graphics, multi cards.
And then it
of all
goes
the
to his
people.
mom, which is like mourning, and then it flashes back.
And she calls Nick, and then they're still in the diner eating the. And it looks like a whole day has passed. Like this whole thing has just passed, but it's literally the amount of time that it takes us to get from the girl in the diner that puts out the word that Nick Young has a girlfriend and it reaches his mom is literally the exact amount of time that it actually takes. It's not a montage of any sorts. It is literally, we are seeing this thing go from America to Singapore within like 20 seconds. And then the mom calls Nick, and then Nick's sitting there. He has to take a break from eating with his girlfriend, and then he goes to talk to his mom. And that's when she discovers that he has the girlfriend, and that's when they like start plotting against girlfriends. So
Basically wrapped it up.
Any final thoughts about the film?
It was surprisingly, it was like you said, it was charming. It was a surprising, charming movie that I really enjoyed, and I didn't expect that. So if you don't want to see it because you're like, oh, it's just Cinderella, it's actually very worth it.
Yeah, it is. The trailers did this film no justice. The trailers just left me kind of cold with the film, and the film itself actually popped with a lot of personality and a lot of life. So we highly recommend this film. This is a see it. So subscribe and like the video if you want to see more. Stay tuned. We've got Searching next. So let's do that.